in Sports podcast, one man's journey to read 52 fantasy books in 52 weeks and create 52 podcasts documenting the experience. I am your host, Mike Mokes, and this week I'm joined by Spiffbo 3 winner, Booknest award winner, and probably most impressively, recurring guest of this show, Rob J. Hayes. He's here to talk about the sequel, well, not really a sequel, but the second book in the Fantastic Mortal Techniques series, the follow-up to Never Die, Pawn's Gambit. The interview is coming up after all the other boring-ass announcements. So please stick with me for 1 to 2 more minutes, and you can listen to one of my favorite people in the world, Rob. Along with the normal self-promo stuff, I just want to say, this is the 75th episode of the Swords and Sports podcast. That means for 75 straight weeks, I've read and reviewed a different fantasy book. One of the things that I am most proud of is that a lot of these books, including Pawn's Gambit, which we'll get to, have been self-published, and I've been able to do some publicity for these authors who don't have a traditional marketing team behind them. And shout out to me who got a phone call in the middle of this. So it's 75 episodes, maybe done 20 interviews out of those 75, and had an absolute blast doing it. I plan on continuing to do this for the entire year. So let's keep the ball rolling, everybody. And without your support on all the various podcast listening platforms, everybody who likes, downloads, subscribes, whatever it is, and hopefully gives it 5 stars so that I can quit my job and my dad can finally tell me he loves me. I appreciate you. I just want to say that I want to head this off as well. It is dumb hot in the studio today. I have not recorded in this hot a studio since an episode with one of my friends who we had on to talk about Red Sister, by Mark Lawrence, Chris, where we weren't doing videos back then, and me and him were literally like in our boxers recording the episode in pitch darkness. This is when I had a co-host, Natalie, was like, you guys look terrible. He was sweating so profusely, he had to keep taking breaks to wipe the sweat off with paper towel. I wish I had the video for that, but I'm close to that today. It is goddamn hot. So shout out to me. They say podcasting isn't a sport. Well, then how come I feel like I'm literally running a marathon? Answer me that. Riddle me that, everybody. For all the details about upcoming episodes, please follow the Twitter account at Swords and Sports. It is a fun Twitter account where I tell you what's happening in terms of what authors are coming on, what books I'm featuring, and any other updates. You can also follow at Swords and Sports on Instagram for 1-minute clips of what episodes I'm featuring this week, as well as some throwbacks. I want to start doing throwbacks from the interviews we were doing in 2020, but I'm lazy, so maybe those will come. Maybe someone could do them for me. Shout out to whoever that is. Contact me on one of those social medias. Also, really trying to grow this YouTube platform, because if I'm going to keep doing these videos, someone might as well watch them besides my mom. Let's get into these book details. The book is Pawn's Gambit. The author is Rob J. Hayes. As I mentioned, recurring guest. This is his second time on the show. I think this is the 3rd book of his I've featured. 4th book. The series is Mortal Techniques. Not the rapper, a Mortal Technique. It has been a while since I've made a rap reference on this podcast, so I felt like that had to do it. Who also wrote some, what is that song? Dance with the Devil or something. Really fucked up song. Don't listen to it. It was published on January 26th. 2021. So this year, it is 315 pages on the Kindle edition. I am not positive what the paperback edition is. That would require more research that I didn't do. So shout out to me. Who is the publisher? Well, he's the self-pub king, or one of them, at least in my mind. He's on the Mount Rushmore or the top 5 of self-pubs in the game for the fantasy. So he's continuing that trend. What are the books in the series? Well, Spiffbo 6 finalist, Never Die, which I absolutely loved, is book 1 of these. These are supposed to be standalone novels that there are some tie-in. Then, obviously this, which is Pawn's Gambit, which he tried to steal the SEO from a popular Netflix series, Queen's Gambit, and I have to say, a good job, Rob. Can't believe that rhymes. Amazing. And then the third book, Spirits of Vengeance, which is coming out later this year. We talk about it a little bit in the interview. And if you weren't excited for this interview because you hate listening to me talk, Rob gives a lot of teasers about what to expect in book 3, so stick around. As a heads up, this podcast contains spoilers for Never Die and Pawn's Gambit by Rob J. Hayes. So if you haven't read those books yet, first off, what the fuck are you doing? And second of all, consider this your warning. Without further ado, Rob J. Hayes. I know, it's been doing that. It's been throwing everybody off. All right. We are back. I am joined by recurring guest, Rob J. Hayes, Spiffbo 3 winner of plenty of other awards, one of the disastrous hosts of the Wizards, Warriors, and Words podcast. He's back to talk about book 2, kind of the Mortal Techniques world, Pawn's Gambit. So, Rob, welcome back.
Hello, thank you for having me back. I'm here. I'm far too warm because it's an English summer, but I prepared. I've got a beer, so there we go.
There you go. That is quite the stein.
This is my BlizzCon stein. There you go. I virtually attended BlizzCon in 2017, and they sent me a very cool stein. So.
What level do you have to be to get one of those?
The level of having 40 spare quid in my bank account.
The ultimate level.
Yeah.
So, how has Wizards, Warriors, and Words been going? You guys have been getting quite the slew of impressive guests on there.
I mean, I think it's been going well. It's hard to tell because we're a disaster. As you say, we're an absolute mess. I think, to be honest, I think that's why we get so many guests on. People seem to really enjoy coming on, mostly because we have no idea what we're doing and we just talk shit most of the time.
I mean, that's the way to do it.
I'm going to assume you've had Fletcher on your blog, your podcast at least.
Unfortunately, yes.
Has he scarred you for life?
He's quite the guy to have on here. The conversation takes not a very educational turn as soon as he hops on.
Have you had Dirk on yet?
Oh yeah, I have had him on. We compared haircuts. It was a wonderful time. He gave me quite a bit of information that actually turns educational.
Yeah, no, Dirk's like the really, really good one who sort of brings it down. He's just like, okay, I'm gonna drop some knowledge. Fletcher's the one who sits there and then occasionally just swears at people. And I'm just the pretty face, I guess.
You are the face of that operation. There is no doubt about that. But I saw recently that you and Fletcher are going to start a band where basically he does all the work and you play the triangle.
Yeah.
How good at the triangle are you?
I'm terrible. I'm terrible at anything relating to music, to be honest. I don't even have rhythm. I occasionally I'm listening to something and I try to drum on my legs, and before I know what I'm doing, I'm like, yeah, I've completely lost the rhythm. It's gone. So hence why Fletcher is going to be doing everything. Guitar, bass, drums, singing, whatever else there is, marketing as well, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're carrying him on the podcast. He could carry you in the band.
Absolutely. Funnily enough, he does the music for our podcast. We have a little intro jingle, which he does for us. It's very nice.
Funny enough, he also did the intro jingle for my podcast.
There you go.
But when Bloodpunk finally comes together, I want a remix of that intro. You just hammering away on the triangle.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to be doing. Just something.
And then maybe Dirk screaming.
Yeah. I'm fairly certain Dirk could pull off a really good sort of thrash metal voice. Just like
he has that
into it.
He kind of has that screamo voice. I feel like
it's the gravel, isn't it? He's got a nice gravel to his throat.
So you've been busy. You're always busy, coming out with projects all the time. I had to ask though, it's not often that, everybody puts their word counts. It's huge in the writer's world, but you put your word slashing out recently, and you cut 20,000 words out of a book. Did a part of you die?
Yeah, it does every time I have to cut words, to be honest. I'm not much of a cutter. I tend to, maybe there's like the odd paragraph here that I'm thinking, that's terrible, I'll get rid of that, or it just doesn't make any sense, or it adds nothing. But for the majority of my books, what I sort of like, I write in the sort of like the drafting phase, that makes it to the cut in some, the final version in some form or the other. But yeah, I'm writing Sins of the Mother at the moment, which is book 4 in the War Eternal series, which is Esker's trilogy, series, which you can see. I've got arcs, I've got 2 pictures everywhere.
Right.
I should probably have got some like Mortal Techniques pictures up, but I don't have any, so I'm just all about the Esker. But anyway, yeah, so I'm writing book 4 at the moment, Sins of the Mother, and I kind of went wrong about 40,000 words into it. And instead of sort of stopping and figuring out where I was going wrong, I just plowed on. And then 20,000 words later, I was like, no, this isn't working. I've got to stop and backtrack. I ended up deleting 20,000 words out of it, which I've salvaged some of them, maybe about 3,000 or so, but the rest are just gone.
Never to be talked about again. It's the mark of true stubbornness that solution 1, I'll figure this out if I just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Solution 2, fuck it, I'm not done with this.
I don't know. There's something to do with Esker, I think, because like when I was writing, I haven't got it around anywhere. No. Anyway, when I was writing book 2, The Lessons Never Learned, I had to write 2 drafts of that. The first one I wrote was terrible, and I scrapped pretty much the entire thing. That was about 80,000 words I just scrapped because it was terrible.
That's crazy.
Gone. Started the entire book again. I think I salvaged 15,000, 20,000 words out of that in the end, and the rest was just in the bin. So there's definitely something about writing Esker's books which makes me occasionally just veer off course, and at which point Esker starts getting angry with me and says like, no, backtrack.
I mean, she would, and she'd do it violently. Speaking of Esker, it's her turn to shine. She's being entered into Spiffbo. I don't know if you remember last time you were on this show, I had thought that Along the Razor's Edge was the book that won Spiffbo 3, and that was the one that I interviewed on. And then 5 minutes before you came out, I was like, oh shit, this wasn't the winner. But the whole time I was thinking, this makes a lot of sense that this won. So is it going to happen?
Fingers crossed. I'm hoping she'll do well, but I don't know. It's a tough year this year. I've looked at some of like the competition all round, and damn, there's some good looking books. I've even read a few of them, and they are good. So I've got some competition I need to take out.
Yes, speaking of competition you need to take out in your immediate group, friend Ben Galley.
Yeah. Actually, I think I'm always in Ben's group. Like every time we both enter Spiffbo, we end up facing off against each other. Like it's insane. But the best thing about it is we kind of entered with books with similar themes, because we both have a bisexual main character who doesn't take shit from anyone. So we kind of like, we wrote the same book again, because we did that with Never Die and Chasing Graves. Like we came up with the concept completely separately from each other, but in the first chapter we kill off our main characters.
Oh yeah, so that is true.
We just come to the conclusion that we basically just have the same ideas, and we're just writing each other's books.
Do you think if you advance and he doesn't this time, he's just going to stab you?
He might well do, to be honest. And I'm pretty sure he's got the weaponry to do it, because I'm fairly certain he won the Booknest award at some point, which is a big knife sword thing.
Yes, it is. It's crazy looking.
It's one of these. Not that I'm showing off at all, but there you go. It's one of those.
Yeah, no, that's how you show off, humbly.
It's like, it's a big sword. Yes.
Speaking of, and it's hard, this is the last I'm going to mention him on this show. You guys have your own show. Speaking of, when I had Fletcher on, it was 1 week away from him winning that. And I was like, do you guys have does your podcast have a stranglehold on that award? And it proved to be true.
I know, it's insane. Dirk's won one, Fletcher's won one, and I've won one. We're going to make a play to get Jed to win the next one.
With that type of campaign, you guys definitely should. And then, of course, you guys have to fight, and the winner collects all the swords.
Highlander style, there can be only one.
That's the type of content that the viewers really want to see on the podcast. That's just a quick video idea for you.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm pretty sure I'd give that one to Fletcher. I think he's got a bit of beast in him. When the sword fighting starts, I think he'd go full berserker mode.
I don't know. You kind of have the experience though. You've got the Viking reenactments. You've dabbled.
I've got experience at being hit. The majority of my Viking reenactment came in holding a shield and getting stabbed in the chest a lot.
Hey, I mean, how else do you get experience in not getting that done to you besides having it done to you?
Yeah, that's fair. It hurts though. A couple of broken ribs, and I was like, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah, I remember you saying that last time. I thought that was remarkable for an effect to happen in a hobby.
Yeah, I mean, they may blunt the spears, but when you've got a sort of 16-stone guy behind the spear stabbing it at you,
I mean,
it still hurts.
We used to whack each other with sticks as a kid. That hurt. I can't
I
imagine
know.
as a grown man.
I used to do the same thing, running around the woods, picking up sticks, pretending you're sword fighting. It's good fun. I don't think I could do it these days. I think it hurt too much. I'd be like, no, just hit me with a stick.
You don't have to. Yeah, right, cower. I'm done. And now you don't have to. They gave you a real weapon for writing so well about it.
Yes, I know, but I don't think I can use that. I think I'd get arrested.
Yeah, I guess. But you guys got to meet up on some deserted island. Whatever. This is a future you problem.
Yeah.
So recently you got a new computer and what? It just blew up.
No, my old one was 6 or 7 years old, and it got to the point where I'd turn it on, and then I'd just go and make a cup of tea. I'd come back, and it would still be loading up. So I decided it was time for a new one, and a bunch of writer friends like Alicia Wanstall-Burke, who you've also had on the show,
Friends of the program.
Yeah, and a couple of others basically said, get a Mac. And me being someone who's always been a PC user back from when I used to play games, and I was like,
nah,
Macs,
come
on. But I did a bit of research, and it turns out they're really fucking good. So I bought myself a Mac Mini, and it's quite wonderful, to be honest. It's powerful and it's silent. I can turn it on, and it's just like it's there instantly. It makes no noise.
Ooh, that's 6 or 7 years in computer years is a lifetime ago.
God, it really is. But yeah, I kind of realized that I kept sort of thinking, I need a PC because then I need a graphics card that can play the games that I play. And then my brain just clicked in and went, you haven't played a game on the PC in about 5 years. Yeah. Not since giving up games like World of Warcraft. And I pretty much just play on the console these days. Probably don't need a PC.
That's such a holdover thing. That's like keeping like an old ball. Like I'm definitely gonna get back out there and kick this thing around again. It's like, no, you're not. Give it up.
Yeah.
Just
I know people who keep skateboards around. They're like, but what if I want to skate again? But you're 45 years old. You'll snap.
You've got 6 kids, none of whom skateboard. It's not happening. You mentioned something there, and it was a perfect lead-in. Because I kind of love this new time management schedule that you proposed, the cuppa tea time management schedule. And I think that there is a lot of upside to this, to measuring and scheduling your whole day based on what cup of tea you're on.
Absolutely. It's the way forwards, at least for English people. We like our cups of tea. You just sort of like, well, you have your scheduled cup of tea times, because again, we're English, we like schedules.
Right.
And you think, okay, I'm on my 3rd cup of tea. What am I doing at this point of the day? It just works perfectly. It's a better way of timekeeping than having a watch and keeping hours or anything like that. Cup of teas.
Right. It's kind of parallel to the Hobbit way of scheduling time based around meals, right?
Yeah, breakfast, second breakfast.
Yes.
Doing luncheons, brunch, supper, dinner. I don't know.
I always had this question for English people. Is it the same kind of tea every time?
I mean, we do have sort of like other types of tea as well, but generally, if an English person is talking about tea, they're probably talking about what's known as English breakfast tea, which is it looks like mud.
Appealing. Coffee doesn't look
Yeah.
any different.
It tastes glorious, though. At least it does to us English people. We've kind of been brainwashed into loving it. I don't know how it actually is, but from a very young age, English people are force-fed tea, and we just become addicted to it. So now it's just part of our culture. That's all we do. We just drink tea, play cricket.
Whatever other stereotypes you want to throw in there, and then I think you covered most of them.
And what's the other one? Oh, we English people have bad teeth. That's one.
Right. There you go. Nailed them all. We're really going for this lowest common denominator for the jokes today.
Absolutely.
I wanted to go through something that seems to be a recent exercise that you guys have started, which was going through your 1-star reviews.
Yeah.
What were some of the the lowlights that you found on there?
For just my ones, I found some absolute corkers. I mean, I've got some brilliant ones revolving around Never Die and the Mortal Technique series, which are just like the people hating it because like some people are saying, "Oh, this is trash. There's no character development," or then you have people who are like, "Ah, it's just a sort of like Asian Dungeons and Dragons adventure," which is wonderful.
That sounds awesome. How is that a negative?
I don't know. I've had a few bad ones of Vesca's series where people are just like, "Why is she angry all the time?" And I just sort of sit there and think, well, she was betrayed by her best friend and then sent to prison, and that's where she currently is. You might be angry if you were in prison too. Who knows?
Yeah, she's angry because her life sucks. Like, what do you mean?
And then I know Fletcher's got quite a few. People tend to get quite riled up about Fletcher's books. So I basically trawled through like Goodreads and Amazon, not coming up with, but finding all these 1-star reviews of our books, so we could do this little game show type thing. And the hate. Oh God, the hate some people spew out over a book. I'm like, you just think it's a book that you are choosing to read. You can put it down at any time.
Right.
I'm not over in your house kicking your cat. You don't need to get this angry at me.
That you paid to embark on this. This was your choice. You can hop out at any point.
Stop reading if you don't like it. I don't know. I honestly get amazed at how angry people seem to get at it sometimes. I'm just like, I don't understand where the anger's coming from. Okay, you didn't like the book, but do you really need to sit there and this book gave me herpes. I hate it that much.
Well, I mean, that would be the worst way to get herpes, right? The other way seems pretty fun. So I thought that the most telling thing about that was, and it wasn't your 1-star review specifically, but you made that graphic of the review having like something negative about the Mortal Techniques book and then something positive, that they were the exact opposite comments.
That was the War Eternal one, wasn't it?
Might have been the War Eternal.
I think it was the War Eternal. Yeah, it was one of those things I noticed when I was looking through the 1-star reviews for the Wizards, Warriors, and Words podcast. I was finding somebody saying like there's somebody say something like there's no character development.
Right. That was
the next review down would be a 5-star, which is just like saying something like the amount of character development is absolutely amazing. And then you see another 1-star, somebody's going, the way that the story is told removes all tension from it. And then the next review down would be like, the tension just ramps up, it never stops. And I'm like,
Rob, you know what?
Subjectivity.
Turns out people might not know what the fuck they're talking about. It's crazy on the internet. Crazy idea.
It's the sheer level of subjectivity. Like the one person experience in a book is completely different. The book they experience is completely different to like the next person experiencing it. So I just figured, I'll put that in a little graphic and throw it around on social media. And I quite often find that the graphics that I throw out on social media that have negative comments that are sort of like me almost taking the piss out of myself with those negative comments get a hell of a lot more engagement than the ones that are just like me posting going, oh, look, somebody loved my book.
Maybe I should try that. Maybe I should troll my own show.
That's it. Get all the guests you've had on to deliver scathing remarks about it, and then sort of like start posting everywhere. Rob Hayes says the show was utter trash. He'd never come back for a third time.
Clip that. That's the promo for this episode. Thank you for that. I always figure the people who really write like the hate spewed reviews, I just figure like how miserable is their life that this is the only avenue that they could find to unhealthily express how their life has gone so downhill.
Right? Yeah, they're like the critic from Ratatouille, aren't they? Just
Yes.
sort of like this utterly miserable person who's just like, I don't care, I just hate everything.
What are you gonna do? Speaking of hatred, you're trying to learn Japanese on Duolingo. How much do you hate that owl?
Oh God, he's annoying. He
Is
just
he the
constantly like
worst?
dings up on me. He pushed notifications on my phone or wherever it is, and emails me like 3 times a day, going, "Do you want to learn some Japanese?" I'm like, "Hey man, I'm tired."
That owl is, I think, universally reviled. But
Yeah.
but let me tell you, he looks good in that tuxedo. I don't know if you have enough points to buy that yet.
I've got him. I think I've got him in the superhero outfit.
Okay. He is pretty cute.
They need to upload some more outfits. I mean, there's only 3 of them. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You got to watch an ad every 5 seconds. Where is that money going to?
Obviously
Yeah.
not in dressing rooms for owls.
Yeah, you know what? The person who created that, big fan of the show. I'll get in touch with them. This is super random. 4 years ago in an AMA, you said that you include righteous indignation in every one of your books. When did you stop doing that? I looked it up. I was trying to figure out if I could find it.
I can't remember. I was definitely still doing it when I was writing the pirate duology. So it was definitely, I mean, I named a tavern after it in the pirate duology. Like, well, actually, in the first book, I named a ship after it, and then the ship was taken apart and turned into a tavern, which they then named the Righteous Indignation. I don't know. I guess I probably still did it in City of Kings, the 6th book in the first Earth saga. I guess I just sort of stopped after that, but I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
That would have been the ultimate Easter egg. Find some object named Righteous Indignation in every one of Rob J. Hayes' books. But unfortunately, it's too late for that. So what are you going to do?
I don't know. But I mean, the thing is, the whole thing came from a kid's TV show called Bucky O'Hare anyway. Like, it was a cartoon show about a space rabbit fighting space toads. Kids TV, man, it's insane. And this was like 90s kids TV. It was like double insane.
Which was just the wild west of throw shit at a wall and hope something sticks.
Pretty much. But he had a spaceship called the Righteous Indignation, and I just loved it so much because as a kid I had no idea what that meant.
But it sounds awesome.
Yeah, so I decided, right, I'm going to stick Righteous Indignation into all my books. And I certainly did for the first 6 or so, but maybe more than that, maybe more like 8. But yeah, I just sort of fell out of it at some point, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess there's only so many bits you could keep going, like who writes each other's books, Righteous Indignation. It's just a lot to keep track of.
Exactly. I still like to tuckerize my fellow authors, though. I've been doing that for the past few years. So, every now and again, I'll slip a character into a book. I'll have Dirk Ashton in a book just under like, Captain Ashton, and then he gets killed. I always kill him.
I mean, you're going to have them have success in your book?
No.
That's just goddamn disrespectful.
They're going to die, probably in a very horrible way.
You know what? They probably appreciate that, though.
Absolutely. I'm not the only one who does it. I know Dirk's done it himself in his Paternus books. He's got a bunch of folk, and Fletcher's in it. I think he's a general or something like that. General Fletcher, I think it is.
Oh my God, he'd be so bad at that.
I
know. Way to put a man in a role where you're setting him up for failure.
Yeah, you need to take command of the situation. No.
This has basically become a roasting session for a man who is not on the show.
I know, but on the plus side, we can pull him into watching it, and he'll hate it.
You know what? He hates it every time he's on it. One day, my goal is to get on Wizards, Warriors, and Words and pay the price for all the shit I keep talking about all you guys.
We'll pull you in one time. We'll just be like, and here's our guest today, and we're just going to roast him for a change.
It would be pretty easy because I also still don't know what righteous indignation meant.
I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to look it up.
Yeah, I refuse. I refuse to look things up. That's part of the Swords and Sports allure. I rarely do this, but I'm going to talk about the inspiration for the second book, which was essentially your older sister told you to do it. How old do you have to be before your older sister could stop telling you how to do things?
You never get old enough that your older sister can stop telling you to do things. She's my older sister. She's always right.
Yeah, honestly, that is true. My older sister is always right.
It's the law of being the youngest sibling. I have two older sisters. They're both always right.
Oh my God, that's brutal.
It is.
So
4 years and 5 years older than me as well. So, I was definitely always the wrong one of the of the three of us.
I mean, 4 years, 4 or 5 years, that's enough to they actually believe they know everything on more than you on top of actually knowing everything. And that's a deadly combo.
It is. I mean, hey, I remember I was like 8 years old when I was told that Father Christmas didn't exist.
Oh, that's brutal.
I was devastated.
You know
Mind
what,
you, my older sister also once told me that toothpaste was poisonous, so I stopped brushing my teeth for a week.
Is this explains a lot about England? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know.
That was a bad callback. So what was she basically like? This is good. Do this again now.
No, well, I mean, a lot of people did say that about Never Die. I had a lot of people say like, we want more. But my eldest sister, who she's also like my first alpha reader, actually. She's the one that the books go to and sort of, does the first read through and tells me whether or not it's shit. And she basically just said like she really liked the character of Dei Lingseng in Never Die, The Art of War. And she wanted a full story about her. So I just thought, I can do this. Along with everybody sort of like, reading Never Die and saying, we want more of this. I was like, all right, I can write another.
You know what? And we are all thankful that you did. And, let's give your sister what she wants and let's do the recap of this book. It's book questions time. First thing is a disappointment. Why is the prologue so long?
Yeah. Well, I already did the, was it 2 lines, I think, was
14 words, if I remembered correctly. I think I looked back in my notes.
Wasn't it? It was,
I have it somewhere.
Tommy Cho woke to the screams of her own death. She remembered it all. There you go. Yeah, no, the 2-line prologue just didn't really fit in this one. So I went for a bit of a longer one. But hey, it's a prologue from the perspective of an ancient god.
Right. Some would say it went on a little too long. No, I'm kidding. 14 words, I feel like captures the perfect prologue. No, it was definitely an opposite approach.
Yeah, I completely agree. It was, but I mean, to be honest, one of the things I wanted to set up was Pawn's Gambit isn't Never Die 2. It's a separate book. So I kind of thought that aping the structure of Never Die too much would have set the wrong example, basically, going forwards.
Yeah, and definitely, I think that was important because, God forbid, you did the exact same thing. The first comment on Goodreads would have been like, what, did you just run this back?
Yeah, I know. Although, I mean, technically speaking, I kind of did. I just ran it backwards. I'm not sure how many people have noticed that yet, but Pawn's Gambit is kind of Never Die in reverse.
Ooh! Yeah, you know who did notice that? This guy.
I don't think anyone has yet, which is probably a good thing, because if they did, they'd just be like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Don't worry, nobody listens to this shit. Were you trying, with this title, were you trying to hop on the SEO of the Queen's Gambit?
No, I wrote this book before I even knew that Queen's Gambit existed. It was just sort of a happy little coincidence. Although I will say this, I don't think Pawn's Gambit is a particularly good fantasy title, because it doesn't actually say anything about the book. It doesn't say anything about the genre. It's just kind of like, It's a chess themed title. It could mean anything. So yeah, no, it had nothing to do with the Queen's Gambit, which I have now watched and is excellent. But, I don't know. It just kind of fit when I was writing the story. I was like, came up with it about a third of the way in. I was like, Pawn's Gambit. Hey, that sounds cool, and it fits the story perfectly. It's not a great fantasy title, really.
Well, who wins in a chess match, Beth Harmon or The Art of War?
I mean, given that Beth Harmon knows how to play chess, and I wrote The Art of War, and I'm not particularly good at chess. I wrote The Art of War. That sounds really strange. No.
Yeah, congrats, Sun Tzu.
Sun Tzu wrote The Art of War.
Reborn.
I wrote Pawn's Gambit with the character who is The Art of War, who I also wrote. That's not confusing.
We're getting meta over here. Let's go.
What was the question again?
Who knows? We can move on. I got other questions. How much fun is a scavenger hunt?
I think it's quite fun. I mean, you're in general, you run around and you try and collect items and everything. And in this one, they happen to be artifacts of the gods with special properties, like a coin that can never lose when flicked, or there's a lantern which supposedly reveals an item's true aspects. And
the first iPod, which is a mirror with a singing/screaming girl in it.
Yes, exactly. Who may or may not be a character in the third book.
Rob, are we revealing too much over here? Are you trying to actually get people to tune in? I gotta cut up all these things.
It's a slight spoiler, but there you go. Nice little reveal. Yes, there is a character in this book who's going to be in the next book.
How fucked up is it that the prize for winning a scavenger hunt is that you got to fight a god?
I mean, that's pretty fucked up. Especially when that god happens to be the god of war.
Yeah, the one who's good at it.
Yeah, it's
fight the god of dessert any day.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best reward. Let's be fair.
Of course, this podcast has plenty of spoilers. The spoiler warnings included. I wasn't sure if you remember that from the last time.
I would hope so. If it wasn't, then I've just given away a couple of things. You've given away a couple of things. Don't bother reading the book. Just listen to the podcast. You'll be fine.
You know what? A ton of people happen to read the book because you are popular. Perhaps another dumb chess-related question. Did you come up with those names of the pieces, or does those names exist in a different world? Like the thief? I'm pretty sure that's a knight.
Yeah. Oh no, they are. They're basically I just I replaced the actual chess pieces with different names. I just thought it was a bit more thematic for the world. So instead of the rook, or castle, whatever you want to call it, they've got the shinte, which is sort of the Mortal Techniques version of a samurai. Instead of the knight, they've got the thief. Instead of the bishop, they've got the, what did I have instead of the bishop? Monk. I had the monk instead of the bishop.
Yes, there you go.
The emperor is still the emperor.
Yeah.
The pawn's still the pawn, and then the queen I just named the hero, because one of the big themes of obviously the Mortal Techniques universe is there's heroes who are legendary figures traveling the world. So
would it have been awkward if you changed the name for the pawn and then you kept the book title Pawn's Gambit?
It wouldn't have made any sense whatsoever, would
it? Would have been awesome.
I mean, technically it would from a thematic sense, given that the main character may in fact be a pawn herself.
Dun dun dun. This is going off the rails. I love it. Speaking of heroes, you have one of the most awesome things about this series of standalones, which that sounds weird, is the heroes' names, and you've got some brand new ones that I love. Can I give you my 3 favorites?
Go for it.
The Laws of Hope, which is awesome. No One, which is sick. I assume that person's a member of No Cabal. And and then Crimson Tide, which is the hero of Alabama college football.
That one's gone over my head.
A lot of I don't know how many Americans listen to that, but I hope that one was funny.
No, yeah, no, those are okay, right. Here's the thing. The Laws of Hope is literally an ability from Diablo 3.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So the Emerald Wind is named after the what was it? It was an ability in Heroes of the Storm, which is another Blizzard game used by the Dragon Fairy Brightwing. So there you go. There's those are exclusives. Nobody else knows that. Yeah, I occasionally name characters after things from computer games.
And one of them from the Sword of Kaigen. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, that was completely just, we both named, well, I named a character Whispering Blade. She named a technique Whispering Blade. I mean,
I love that. I think we talked about that at length last time. We don't need to get into that again. What are some of the names that didn't make it into the Mortal Techniques books? Do you have a list of rejects?
I don't know what they are. I'd have to pull them up. Hang on a sec. I'm on my computer. I'll see if I can pull them up quickly.
All right. As you're pulling them up, since I'm scared of dead air, I'm gonna pitch some to you. So now you're doubly on the clock.
Yeah.
I've got 3 good ones. I've got Cold Toast, which I know is a favorite of yours. Beagleface.
Yeah.
And Rah Rah Men. So it's like cheering about ramen.
All right.
Like most things I pitch, that is the facial reaction I get.
I definitely like Beagleface. That's a good one.
Yeah. I wonder why.
Hang on. Let's see. Have I got the names? Oh,
You know,
no, I don't think I've got them here.
If you were on your old Windows, you would have had it. Shout out to Tim Cook.
Well, the problem is they were on my. I had a bunch of ones that I never used for Never Die, and they were on my Never Die file, but I kind of lost the Never Die. There was a whole thing, and it led to a whole load of annoying mistakes in the print version and the ebook version. There were typos everywhere, and it was all because I got my file versions mixed up. Oh man, that was a mess. Yeah, never get your file versions mixed up. Any writers listening, just never do that. It is hell. So no, I can't pull them up. But yeah, I had a bunch of other names which just never made it in. They were a bit too. They didn't really make sense, or I just didn't like them, or whatever. And some that kind of didn't make it in, like the Ticking Clock was actually a name that I came up with for Never Die, and it never made it in. But hey, it made it into Pawn's Gambit, so.
And I think that's got to be a fan favorite, that character. If you find that list, let's tweet that out somehow. Otherwise, this was a disappointing segment. One of the things that you also have in these that I love is my favorite thing in fantasy, which is the 1v1 or the kind of small duel. And we've got some incredible ones in Pawn's Gambit, and I wanted to rank the best duels in the Mortal Techniques series.
Only one-on-ones.
One-on-ones, you could do the small group too, because I know when Sin and and Saint fight, that was a cool one as well.
Yeah, that was a very sort of. I tried to go very technical with that one, because obviously it was from the perspective of Bingwei Ma, who was like the ultimate wushu master. So I tried to write that one in a very sort of technical style, with him sort of like taking notice of people's footfalls and everything. Whereas someone like in Never Die, someone like Ziheng was Zihao, sorry, not Ziheng. The Emerald Wind was obviously very much just a sort of flamboyant rogue type character who would just appear out of nowhere and try and hit people with his dual swords. But ranking the top 3. Okay, are we only counting Never Die and Pawn's Gambit, or are we counting the soon-to-be released Spirits of Vengeance, which nobody else has read?
Well, if you throw one of those in there, how the hell is anybody gonna know? Sure. You know what?
Well, yeah, I know,
This is your time to answer. So go for it.
There you go. I mean, it's going to convince people to read it, maybe. So we'll go with number 3. I don't know. We're doing a top 3. Did we say
Let's
top 3?
do top 3 because I only wrote 2.
Okay, we'll do top 3. So number 3 is from Spirits of Vengeance, and it's Guang versus the Jorogumo, which is a spider yokai.
Very exciting. Coming out September 2021, right?
Yeah, 28th. September 28th, 2021. Yeah, that's right.
Let's go find out what the fuck that's all about.
So that's number 3. Number 2, what should we go for number 2? I think number 2, I'd go with Whispering Blade versus the Emperor of Ten Kings.
Okay.
Obviously, it's the finale of Never Die. It's a big sort of like thing, and there's a lot of heart in it, and I don't know. I just really enjoyed writing that one. It was very sort of anime inspired, bombastic. And then number one, I'm going to go with Yanmei versus the Ticking Clock.
I had that as number 1 as well.
I mean, Yanmei goes full on Super Saiyan. What's not to love?
That was fucking awesome. When she gets torched, and then you're like, oh shit, this took a bad turn.
Yeah.
And then she comes back. She's like, I'm Super Saiyan God now. What?
Yep. I loved writing that one. It was just, I knew what I was doing from the moment of writing that. I was like, yes, I'm gonna fake a death. Spoilers. And she's gonna come back, and she's just gonna be right, I'm on fire now. I'm Flaming Fist daughter. I've taken this ability to the next level. Let's do this.
Which was kind of the opposite of the Art of War. She doesn't do her technique as well as her grandma. So sometimes you get better, sometimes you get worse.
Absolutely.
That fight is awesome. Like, just an awesome fight. Just so much fun. Yanmei is a badass. And my question is, you know what? I'll save it for after. I thought the other best fight was Iron Gut Chen against the Master of Sun Valley, when nothing happens.
Yeah. They have a bit of a test of strength and a wrestling match, and he just puts him to sleep like, no.
It was between those two for me, which shows where my head's at. How close is the ticking clock to becoming a transformer at this point?
I don't think he's I kind of see him more as a steampunk Iron Man.
Okay.
So, he's I mean, okay, he's not inside the, well, he is kind of inside the suit. There's a whole thing anyway, but then he sort of.
You've thought of that on this.
he goes full on Hulkbuster. I mean, come on.
He transforms into a helicopter warrior. He's a transformer.
He doesn't transform into the helicopter. He just takes parts of the helicopter to make himself into a bigger, stronger version of himself. He goes Hulkbuster. It's
That was very Dragon Ball Z, right? Like the brink of death, coming back as a stronger version. I loved it.
Yeah, I kind of did that twice, both the ticking clock and then Yanmei both do it.
But that makes it a good fight. Damn
straight. I mean, I've watched the anime for years. I love those sort of transformations where a character sort of like, they suddenly go from on the brink of death to suddenly powering up and discovering a new form or whatever. It's
right. That's what really for me has made this Mortal Techniques standalone series really pop. It's just like, seems like you've had so much fun with it. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm like, I've put so much of the stuff that really inspired me when I was younger into it. From like Never Die was very much based upon the martial art films, like Waifu martial art films and the like. And then Pawn's Gambit was more kind of based on Chinese fantasy, like Journey to the West, with there's lots of sort of gods and then there's this idea of they've got to collect these items and everything. Right. And then Spirits of Vengeance is very much based on shonen style anime, like Bleach, like Naruto, like Dragon Ball Z, like
more recently My Hero Academia, all those types of ones, with characters who are definitely getting stronger throughout, and have some really cool abilities, but then have a lot of character growth along the way and stuff. And also some villains who are terrifying.
If you haven't sold this third book now, if listeners aren't convinced to buy this shit, they should pre-order it twice at this point.
I mean, it's also going to have a lovely hardback edition with interior artwork.
Is Felix working on that?
Felix is doing the main cover. The artwork's been done by Stas Borodin, he's an artist who's actually he did some fan art for both Never Die and the War Eternal series, and I loved it so much. I was like, I'm going to hire this guy and get him to do some more artwork. So I basically contacted him a few months ago and just went, look, I want you to do some black and white interior artwork for the next Spirits of Vengeance book, and he was just like, yes.
Yeah, I imagine that made his life right there.
He actually did the same. He did some for Blackstone Heart by Michael R. Fletcher.
Some people are becoming just mythical creatures on this podcast. Will White is one of them, and Felix Ortiz is the other one. Just people who are just mentioned by every single guest of this show.
I mean, to be honest, I don't even need to mention Felix. I have his artwork all over.
I mean, you are Felix's artwork at this point. You're basically
it's pretty much just like, I love everything he does for my book. So I'm just like, every time he does a new cover, I'm like, I need that as a print somewhere.
I mean, it does look badass. That's awesome. We've got in this book a battle of the philosophers. Now, who is the better philosopher? I'm going to butcher these. Dong Ao or Xiao Jing?
Well, I mean, that very much depends on who you really subscribe to. Obviously, Dong Ao is a much more direct, brute force type of philosopher, whereas Zhao Ying is more of a sort of thoughtful type of philosopher who more like to take in the situation and then judge it after the fact rather than just make snap judgments. Which is another way to say they're both just completely made up characters with some random shit that they say in the books that I made up.
We as readers got to fall on one side or the other. So what side do you fall on as a fan of your own book that you wrote?
I don't know. I like the bluntness of Dong Ao, to be honest.
Right. Do you think that Socrates got off easy? Because getting stabbed 62 times seems a lot worse than what happened to Socrates.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, it's a fantasy book, so you've got to dial it up to 11, right? I mean,
right.
You know, Socrates had it easy.
Socrates is a bitch. No. Okay. Great Fang's Book of Stealing Shit, which is now a play on Broadway. Is there a potential for Bloodpunk to come in and make it a musical?
Oh, God, I hope so. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Probably not, no. But I mean, if we ever do create the band of Bloodpunk, we'd probably do some random shit.
I want this so badly. As I thought of this idea, I thought this is such a winner. I know these two have nothing but free time on their hands. Let's make it happen. You guys are just looking for projects at this point.
Well, yeah, we certainly don't have 6 projects on the go each.
All right, I've got one terrible novella idea. I'm going to pitch it, and then I think I'm out of questions for you.
Okay.
It's basically diners, drive-ins, and dives, but Lump is Guy Fieri.
Sounds brilliant. Anything with Lump in it cannot go wrong, to be honest. He's without a doubt the best character in Pawn's Gambit.
He might be the best character you've ever created.
You know what? You might well be right. Probably because he doesn't have any dialogue, so, Lump, definitely a normal horse.
Yeah. Oh, that one's even I picked up on. That one's actually Iron Gut Chen.
Oh, God, yes. Iron Gut Chen reincarnated as a horse. That would definitely be Lump.
Also, in solidarity for reading this book, I also got a nipple ring, but I'm not going to show that on video.
Good.
I think I've run this course. Where can people find you? And also, I think you showed the books off camera. Can you show them on camera?
Sure. Bond's Gambit.
Beautiful.
And I don't know, I've got another one. Here we go. That one's beside me as well.
Possible. Let's root him for that.
And then the only other one I've got beside me at the moment is my sci-fi book that nobody's ever heard of.
Right. You're gonna
That's
keep
drones.
promoting that till someone has.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna keep pointing out that nobody's ever read it until someone does.
Maybe you need to put it in that other Spiffbo contest. What is that one called?
I don't know. I think people are calling it the Cybo.
That's good.
I don't think that's what it is, but that's what people are calling it. Unfortunately, I can't because it's not published.
That was back in your published days.
Press, so
that was back when you were working for the man instead of being the man yourself.
Yep. But if people want to find me, they can do so at www.robjhayes.co.uk or on Facebook.
Something.
I
had it up before.
I think I'm on. I think you can search for The Heresy Within. I think my page is The Heresy Within, which is the title of my first ever book. Or on Twitter at Rob of the Haze. Or on the Wizards, Warriors and Words podcast, which is on Spotify and YouTube and other popular things.
They're about to hit 1,000 views on their Will White interview, so go check that out.
Shit, are we? Bloody hell! I mean, that doesn't surprise me. It's Will White.
Yeah, the hero, the folklore legend himself. Thank you so much, Rob. As always, it's a pleasure. And if you could bear with me for another hour one day, I'd love to have you back on.
Oh, happily come back on. I have a lot of fun doing these things, to be honest. We talk a lot of shit. I always love talking shit.
Not your traditional book interviews over here. Thank you so much. Go get on that 16th cup of tea for the day. I don't want to hold you up from that.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Rob is awesome. His book is awesome. And anytime he wants to come back on the show, he is more than welcome. But let me do these closing statements because that intro was long as hell and I do not want to belabor it. Books on the horizon. Next week is going to be Demons, Inc. Not like incorporated, but like ink, like what's on all over my arm. By Clayton Snyder. After that, there's some possiblies. Possibly Priest of Bones, possibly Senlin Ascends, and possibly The Gutter Prayer. Those are by Peter McLean, Josiah Bancroft, and Gareth. I thought it was Hammerhand, which sounds fucking awesome, but Hammerhand is also awesome in that order. So, keep reading or something. Until next week, peace.